Anyways, the last major thing I wanted to talk about, and it's a major thing because people on the internet have been talking about it since they did it, or since they posted it, and people have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts, but also my thoughts are very scattered in general, so we'll just figure it out, I guess. But this next topic is regarding Billboard and their apparent 50 greatest rappers of all time. So as we see here, here's the title: 50 greatest rappers of all time. This list was not an issue until people on the internet realized what their top 10 was. The top 10 on this list is it's a list of just top 10 rappers in general, it seems like. Not necessarily a exact top 10 of, oh, these are the best lyricists or whatever. They're just an assortment of rappers. And an assortment of rappers that I feel like a lot of people will agree are like, yes, these are very good rappers. We can put them on this list. They started this on January 11th. So somehow no one's seen it until, the last week or so. And because they haven't seen it for the last week or so, they haven't seen the rest of the list, of course. They only wanted to see the top 10 because the top 10 is what everyone cares about. Now, we'll get into the top 10 and then we'll look at their criteria because that's how everyone else did it. So, at number 1, we have JayZ, which I'm totally fine with because JayZ is probably my favorite rapper as well. He would be number 1 for me. The issue that I think a lot of people had was with the number 2 placement, which is Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is a good rapper. Kendrick Lamar has done a lot. Is Kendrick Lamar number 2? Probably not. I think it's too early in his career to say that he's the number 2 greatest rapper of all time, or best rapper of all time. Up next, we had at number 3, Nas. You can't. You're telling me that Kendrick is better than Nas? But also, I don't think I would put Nas necessarily at number 3, personally. Then we have at number 4, Tupac. Number 5, Eminem. Number 6, Biggie. Number 7, Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne actually probably should be higher. Number 8, Drake. Really? People want to have Drake that high up? I don't know. Number 9, Snoop Dogg, and number 10, Nicki Minaj, which also seemed a little bit out of place, right? Now, with all that in mind, let's look at this criteria. Based on the criteria that Billboard and Vibe used for this, their deciding factors, or the way they determined it, was, well, first of all, they wanted to limit it in North America, so no UK rappers, no other international rappers, I suppose, so that means no dancehall or reggaeton, so they kept it very focused to hip-hop or rap. Their criteria is, so from there, the teams took into account the following criteria, not in any particular order: body of work / achievements, in quote, parentheses, charted singles / albums, gold / platinum certifications, cultural impact / influence, how the artist's work fostered the genre's evolution, longevity, years at the mic, lyrics, storytelling skills, and flow, aka vocal prowess. Now, these things here can be, just like if you look at it, it's like just a general overall view of rappers. Like, these are just, not necessarily just them as a lyricist, but them, just a big picture view, I guess. So, with that in mind, going back to the top 10, I don't think JayZ should be number 1. Like, personally, like, I love JayZ, and JayZ is my number 1 rapper, but I don't think JayZ would be number 1 based on that criteria. Like, yes, JayZ did all these things, and he, pushed the culture forward to some level, but how many people are rapping like JayZ? Like, I think the biggest reason that JayZ is at this point on this list is because of his longevity. He's been around forever, and every time he drops a verse or a feature or even an album, people are going to listen to it. But I don't think people are necessarily pulling from what JayZ has to say or his rhyme style or anything like that at this point in time, at least. Now, number 2, Kendrick still, I feel like, is a little high. Kendrick, while he has a lot of influence and has sold well and has, pretty decent longevity given his shorter career compared to JayZ and other people on this list, I don't think he's necessarily influenced as much for other artists. There's not many other artists in the mainstream that are doing what Kendrick does. Like, they're not out there making more conscious / lyrical rap that's also, I guess, palatable by most people. Like, he's unique in that sense, and I don't know, I don't think people and anyone else is really doing that. Having Nas at number 3 now makes sense. I mean, Nas has been around forever and he keeps putting out music and he's been very consistent at it. Tupac, though, I agree, like, he should be there, but I don't know how many people now are necessarily influenced by Tupac. It's different, I guess. Like, rappers who came up in like the early 2000s, sure. I mean, Tupac is still one of my favorite rappers, but I don't know how they necessarily decided, like, yes, Tupac should be on this top 10. It honestly, it feels like a lot of the top, at least the top 5 picks that they decided were like, yes, these are rappers that we want to put up on here, because if we put anyone else, people are going to have a fit. And just like with every list, people are going to have a fit regardless. Now, again, considering the criteria of this list, I would put Eminem even higher. Eminem should be top 5 he should be in the top 5 at least. A lot of white rappers specifically sound like Eminem. But not even just white rappers, like a lot of other rappers in general, take inspiration, I guess, from Eminem, and it's pretty obvious, honestly. Like, it shows up whether it's in his flow or in their flows or delivery. It's just there. It's notable. Everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people rap like Eminem. Moving on up, Biggie. I love Biggie, but he was very unique. Like, he was almost too unique, He had his own voice and no one else rapped like him. So it's like, okay, why is he up this high? Just due to longevity itself. Lil Wayne, however, should be way higher, because if you listen to the majority of rap out right now, most of them sound like Lil Wayne, like, to some level, whether it be the delivery or just the way they sound. Like, Lil Wayne has put on so much, like, he has had so much influence, you know what I mean? Like, his vocal inflections, though, just, the way that he used autotune while rapping, like, that is such a big thing now. And it's like, if I don't know, like, I don't know what people would sound like if Lil Wayne didn't exist. Like, you wouldn't have people like Lil Uzi or even Lil Baby or Future to some extent. Drake, honestly, is probably only on here due to the earlier accolades that were mentioned, such as sales and longevity, not necessarily anything else. But whatever. Snoop Dogg should not be this high up. He is a good rapper and I enjoy his music, but he has a lot of good songs, not necessarily good albums. Like, Doggy Style is his best album, and everything else has just been, I guess, trying to keep up or catch up to what he got with Doggy Style. Nicki, I guess, based on, again, the criteria of this list, is totally fine to be here. When I first saw this list and saw Nicki on here, I'm like, why the hell is Nicki this high up? Because, what is she bringing? Like, yes, she raps well, but is it that much different than what we've heard from other artists that were like, yes, we need to showcase Nicki Minaj? I will say, though, since Nicki has come out, in 2009 or so. Since then, like, we've seen an influx of women rapping, and to varying levels, but also it's like we have more women rappers like in the forefront, I guess. We have people like Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B, like, and Lotto, like people who are pretty popular, all things considered, because we're always going to have rappers like Rhapsody and Sarok just in the underground mostly, and they're just arguably better than some of the other like male counterparts. But yeah, since Nicki came out, it's like we've seen an influx of more popular female rappers. And then we have Kanye at number 11. I'm not going to go through the entire list. I just had a few more points that I just wanted to touch on. Kanye is not necessarily a good rapper, but he is a good artist. Like, artistically, he makes good music. 3 Stacks should be... Actually, my gut wants 3 Stacks to be a lot higher, but realistically, this is where 3 Stacks is. Yeah, Rakim should be included in the conversation. And that's another thing that I noticed with this list as I scroll through the rest of it. Yeah, J. Cole probably shouldn't be anywhere near this list. I like J. Cole, but he shouldn't be here. But as I scroll through the rest of this list, jeez, we have people like Rakim, Mello, Cool J, Scarface, 50 Cent, Ice Cube, Missy Elliott, Big Daddy Kane. Like, I chose a very interesting time to stop scrolling. But if we're looking at all these other artists, we're looking at these more long-term artists. I forgot what the term is for them, but it's like, people who have been rapping for a while, people who, are legacy artists. There we go. They're included on this list almost due entirely to like their, I guess, how people feel they belong in the industry or like in their place in hip hop, which, totally fine. But if we're going with the entire criteria of this list, I don't know that people like Big Daddy Kane should be that high. And people like LL Cool J, like Rakim, sure. I mean, but it makes it more debatable, I guess. Speaking of 21, we have DMX at number 21, and yeah, that was definitely a choice. Ghostface Killah being pretty high up. Curtis Blow should not be number 22. Curtis Blow is not better than KRS-One, Method Man, Big Pun, Q-Tip, Black Thought, Pusha T, Lauryn Hill. Like, yes, Curtis Blow had impact. He had an impact. But to say that he is this high up is kind of crazy. Like, best rappers of all time? Like, he's this high up? He beats out so many other rappers? I don't know about that one. I don't know about that. Speaking of other rappers, I like how Black Thought is this high up. Because realistically, I don't know how many people know about Black Thought outside of, rap nerds. People will argue that Lauryn Hill should be higher up. I don't know. Lil Kim's there. T.I. Yeah, T.I. should be on this list. He's had enough impact, I feel. Busta Rhymes he should be a little bit higher. Future, And then Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre, I feel like, should be higher up on this list. Dr. Dre shouldn't be number 40 necessarily. I would say like a solid 20 something, but 40, not as much. And speaking of 40, here's E40. It's interesting that E40 is on here, actually. I'm surprised. I would not have expected E40 to be on this list. But he's here. He's definitely here. I appreciate that they included Redman and Bun B. Queen Latifah's here. Ice-T's here. Jadakiss. I think they just included Melly Mel because of history, I guess. Like, I don't see any other reason to have included him there. Rev Run, that's nice. The lists or whatever, they're not important to anyone. And realistically, I think it's just that people are going to Google best rappers of all time, and they're going to see this list and go through it. And, maybe they'll go through and find an artist that they enjoy. I don't know. But for people who listen to hip hop. Shit, this ain't shit.